Okay, just can squeeze through there. There's a table.
Yeah.
I think I remember when we first started talking about this,
Yes. Yeah.
one of the sort of the problems that we highlighted was that it's well known that a lot of marketing spend is wasted.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
famous quote, I think it's by Ian Ogilvy, which probably goes back to the 1950s, which said that they freely admit that 50% of the spend on marketing is totally wasted.
Wasted.
The
Yeah.
problem is knowing which half.
Yes.
I might be wrong on who
Absolutely.
it was, but I think it was about
Yeah.
his time, and I'm sure I read it in the book that I read many, many years ago, which was
Yeah.
very, very good reading.
And if you've got enough money, you don't really
Yes,
care which half is wasted, as long as the revenue comes in behind, isn't it? That's the whole point there, isn't it?
yeah, it's sort of throwing enough, as they say, mud at the wall, and some of it will
Some of it
stick.
sticks.
Yes,
I think also the starting point for this visual that we came up with is the need to, in a very noisy marketplace, which the B2B software market in number of competitors started out quite quiet. The line we use is a chimpanzee in a suit could go out and sell it, but that's because there was one solution for every need out there.
yes,
Now there's multiple solutions, and that's a very noisy environment.
yes,
So using the lion at the sort of idea of roaring, and a lion that roars is a visceral thing. If you've
yes,
ever been to a zoo and a lion roars,
yes.
I
You
don't care
feel
how
it,
sophisticated you are, you feel it.
do.
You
Yes,
go,
I've
oh
been
my
there.
God, primitive you wants to run like hell. But the lion was such a good visual icon for that very purpose. It gets immediate, emotional, primitive attention. But what we're not saying is not everybody in the B2B software market can be the size of a lion. Some
No,
of them are different sizes.
no.
So what competitive space does is it uses cognitive science, psychology, visual storytelling combined to give you that mechanism. And that, in this case, the visual is the megaphone. So no matter what size you are, you can roar in your marketplace.
And I think it's important within the marketplace that the smaller companies are able to roar and draw attention to themselves, because that's where a lot of the innovation's happening. And you think of it, if it's always the larger companies that are always going to win, that would really stifle this marketplace, wouldn't
Oh
it? I
yeah,
mean, that'd be a
stagnant,
bad place.
stagnant. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the truly flexible and agile, smaller and medium firms are where the innovation can really rock and roll. We're always campaigning against the design by committee. We're
yes.
innovators themselves, and having too many voices in on this can slow things down. So yeah.
And the other point that I think is worth mentioning here is, what's your view, and I know we've discussed this before, why particularly in the sort of the computer technology sector, why is
Yes.
this particularly an issue?
I feel it's the intelligence and background of the founders and the people who form these companies. They're often very intelligent. In fact, all of our clients I would rate as some of the most intelligent people I've come across
Yeah,
outside of my background at Warwick University.
yes,
They are very good left brain thinkers. They approach life through a logical process and the left brain dominance of words.
yes,
And one of the things that competitive space does is it says if you can deliver an image that is 1,000 words of communication, you can get rid of those 1,000 words and just communicate with 6 and make
yes.
a big impact. And
There
that's
was-
very different from the founding fathers of these companies, is they want to explain things, they want to maybe even educate their audience.
And that goes back to the study that was done by Jacob Nielsen back in 1997, right in the early days of having access to the web. And the conclusion that they came to was that 79% of the web users scan rather than read. Now, that's in 1997. You think of the
Yes.
changes that have happened since then. Far more channels, massive amounts more information. That figure is going to be higher. And we know from our own behaviour when you go out there, you're not sitting reading every word that comes to you.
No.
And the beauty of the visual, well, the
Yes.
beauty of a visual, the right visual, that grabs your attention and communicates. And this is similar to art. It's about, art conveying, communicating, conveying emotion. Not all images do. Going and getting a lot of sort of, I don't know, word icons and putting those into your article. That's not going to work. That really doesn't work.
No.
But the beauty of it is that your brain, we are designed in our very survival to be able to process visual images 13 milliseconds, some 60,000 times faster than you can words.
And those visuals trigger deep pathways in the mind. They unlock in milliseconds a whole bunch of emotions and memories, and using the correct images to bring out those positive emotions and trigger a memorable moment for the person reading for the first time, touching base with you. Something that locks in and is visually memorable. Just fantastic. But just getting that attention is also, it's multi-sensory. One of the other things that we've explored, Mark, is using all the senses.
Yes.
And the ability to not just do visuals, but harmonize that with other experiences. It's attention can be gained so many different ways, and you have to understand, a human being's sensory input and the way it locks into their cognitive structure.
And there's sort of the encompassing concept, if you like, for this particular element is without attention, you have nothing.
Absolutely. You could have the best solution in the world. If nobody knows it's there, you're never going to sell a single unit. And it's just as brutal as that, isn't it?
It is, and it is quite brutal. And I know that a lot of software vendors, they take great pride in the quality of the solution that they provide, and the amount of money that they spend on developing that software.
Yes.
Listening to their prospects, when they're doing it right, they're listening, they're very close.
Yes.
But if you can't gain attention, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you're operating in a noisy environment where everybody is overshadowing you. You're crowded into a very dense single space, and trying to get yourself heard is incredibly expensive because a lot of the SEO tactical stuff that goes on now, it's all been priced very high. IBM own big data.
Yes.
These guys can cut checks of enormous size. So competing in that space, very, very difficult. Really, almost impossible.
And we talk about competitive space as an overall methodology, and there's a framework. Attention is just one part of that.
It is. Yes. It's perhaps the most fundamental, because without it, nothing else connects. Without gain the attention first, and other things become possible.
Yes. Well,
Get that to say.
Hopefully that's sort of explained about attention. We might do some more of these sort of short clip audios, and then look at some of these other elements. But obviously, this will work for some people that are very much sort of audio based.
Yes.
And want to get an understanding about what we're really talking about when we're talking about gaining attention and the importance of that. But there will also be articles and other bits of information that they'll be able to get access to.
Yeah.
And if they have any questions, maybe just
get in touch.
Yeah. Connect on LinkedIn or send us an email.
Send us a good question.
Yes.
A good question.
We love talking about this stuff as well. This is, hopefully you can hear in our voices, we're really passionate about it.
Oh yes. Yeah, brilliant.